Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about Fury Unleashed. And Fury Unleashed honestly took me by surprise. It's a very fast-paced roguelite game that focuses a lot on a combo meter, and on top of that, it's in this really cool comic book art style, and instead of just picking one theme, it gets really meta with the comic book theme and the variety of different comic books, and it's really awesome actually. And so there's a huge variety of weapons and armor and items and abilities, and they all seem to come from just a wide variety of genres, and it's really fun to play around with. And so you start playing the game and you're in this jungle comic book, and kind of has just normal enemies you might find in a jungle environment, and you start seeing glimpses of the creator of the comic book series, and the game starts presenting you this story of the creator of the comic book. He's running out of ideas, and the series has been running on so long and people are starting to hate the series, and he's kind of losing faith. And there's this doodle character that throughout multiple playthroughs kind of tells you that you need to get powerful enough to get the creator's attention. And you can also go through areas where it might show you glimpses of the real world, where you might actually see a phone with reviews of the newest edition of the comic book where everybody's just hating on it, or a conversation he has with his publisher where he's asking for a deadline to be moved back so he can kind of brainstorm more things because he's feeling burnt out. And they're like, no, you gotta have a deadline, you gotta have it to us. And so it kind of presents this really meta other side of the comic book where we're seeing this creator, and it's really fascinating. And so each comic book that you play through, they have kind of 3 different chapters, and that's kind of just what they call areas. And when you beat the boss of each comic book, so after 3 chapters there's a final boss, you go on to the next one. And so the next comic book is a Nazi base type of comic, and all the enemies act completely different in that comic book. The area plays different, it looks way different, and it's a really nice change of pace. It helps keep the game refreshing. And so for each comic book there are technically 3 different final bosses, and so when you beat all 3 of the final bosses through at least 3 different playthroughs, you can actually start the game at the next comic book. So once you beat the 3 final bosses that are in the jungle comic book, you can start playing the game from the Nazi comic book, and then from there you'll keep going further and further. And I have to say, roguelites are always kind of made or break by their progression systems. At least that's a huge factor in it for me. And I have to say, this game has one of the best overall feelings of progression in a roguelite I've played in a long time. So first of all, like I already touched on, just the progression of going to the different comic books, and having it be such a different change of pace really helps keep the game refreshing, and it's awesome. And then you also have, like I said, this story, and you really want to keep playing and keep getting further to kind of figure out what happens to the creator of this comic book. I haven't really played a roguelite game that actually has story elements this great in it, at least in a while. Normally the story isn't the best. It's more just type of lore pieces here and there because it's a roguelite. How are you going to do a story? But the way this game presents it is really awesome in terms of the whole meta comic book story. On top of that, out of game, depending on how good you do, you get ink, and you use that, and you level up. And every time you level up, you get a skill point, and you can spend that on this skill tree. I will say the skill tree in this game is potentially on the weaker side than a lot of other games. It kind of reminds me a lot of Rogue Legacy, and Rogue Legacy has one of the best skill trees, at least in my opinion. And so it falls a little bit flat. There's only a few kind of new mechanics, one of them that allows you to, if you stomp on the ground, it creates this shockwave and stuns some people, but a lot of them is just kind of the traditional stun stuffs, and a lot of the things in the skill tree focus on your combo meter, and I'll talk about the combo meter in a second. On top of that, you can also find these doodle challenges, and if you complete them, you get a doodle for a weapon of it'll say, oh, what type of weapon do you want, and it'll offer you 3, and if you take it and you find the Ink Master in that same run, you can give him the doodle, and then you can start finding those weapons in the game. So it kind of unlocks that weapon type. So as an example, I beat a challenge. I got a drawing for a laser weapon, found the Ink Master, gave it to him, and now I can find laser weapons in the game. You can also complete challenges that allow you to start with different basic weapons or melee skins. There's also some, decent amount of cosmetics to unlock with like different characters. So like as an example, I think the coolest one I have is like I unlocked this cool little green skeleton dude that looks pretty dope. And so the progression is great, but what really makes the game is the gameplay along with, the theme. And so every single gun in this game is just way more satisfying than they have any right to be, honestly. Like in one run, one of my runs I got further in, I found like this acid assault rifle, and I don't know why, but it just felt so powerful. And I think part of that is because of the sound design in this game is actually pretty satisfying. The guns feel like heavy and impactful, and just mowing down enemies with them, it feels so satisfying. And there's, like I said, a huge wide variety of weapons. I mean, you have lasers, assault rifles, SMGs, snipers, shotguns, rocket launchers, saw blade shooters, nail guns, like electric weapons, flamethrowers, energy weapons. I mean, there's just so many different types of weapons, and they all play pretty differently. And they'll all have like, when you pick them up, they'll have like randomized damage values and potentially perks on them. You can also melee people in this game when you're close up to them, and that is really satisfying, and it's actually really, really good against a lot of enemies. And so you can stomp on people's heads as well, and that actually instantly kills people. So I would definitely recommend to do that. I definitely underutilized that when I first started playing the game, but especially like later in the levels when it insta-kills most of the people, that's really good still. You also have grenades, and like everything else in this game, there's a huge variety of them, going from just like frag grenades to like life-stealing ones to like cluster grenades, a huge amount. And then you have an ultimate ability, and by default it's kind of just this thing that freezes all the enemies in the room for a little bit, but like I said, you could find a wide variety of things. You could find like turrets or drones, or like a rage mode that allows you to fire and reload faster, or like a bullet time mode, and they all pretty much charge after you get a certain amount of kills. So it's not like a time thing, it's once you get a certain amount of kills you get the ultimate back. And so like I've said a lot before, this game revolves around the combo meter. So every time you kill an enemy without getting hit in a certain time frame, you keep your combo meter going, and that gives you a ton of benefits. So I mean, having a higher combo meter can give you like more damage resistance, or more healing, or like more opportunities for people to drop like healing orbs, and then there's also a lot to invest in the perk tree with combos as well that will make getting high combos even better. And so you also have a limited amount of fast travels that'll allow you to kind of fast travel to the different areas in the comic book. And I will just say, the way that it does like the map, it makes it look like a comic book, and that in itself is really flavorful and awesome. And so you can use those fast travels to actually keep your combo meter going throughout rooms and even throughout chapters. So you really want to save them, because if you're on a really high combo and you're nowhere near a room that you haven't gone to, you can fast travel and keep killing enemies and keep going it, and it keeps it really, really fast paced. Because especially once you start getting better, when I play through the first 3 chapters of the jungle level, I'm trying to get like 150 combo, because I'm you learn how to play the game, and so I'm good enough. I'm just going to try to get a really high combo meter, and it feels really, really satisfying. And throughout the levels, you'll also find a ton of different items, like I've been talking about, but there's also a bunch of different challenges. So people might say, oh, well, kill the next couple of enemies only with your melee weapon, or increase your combo by 10 without getting hurt. And if you complete them, they get you more items, and I think that's a really cool way to just keep spicing things up. You can also find different types of shop, or merchant people. So some people might just be selling like weapons for the normal ink, the golden ink you find. Or you could find like the devil that will sell like these different like really interesting benefits, but they cost max health. So one of the ones that I kept trying to do was this one that took 70% of your max HP, but every time you killed 2 enemies, you got 1 max HP. And I love unique stuff like that. And so you can bet I tried to make that work so many times and failed a lot, but it's really fun to have that choice. The bosses in this game, I will say, are one of my probably biggest complaints, or only complaints in this game, besides, maybe the skill tree. And so, I mean, throughout the chapters, you know, you'll occasionally stumble across a mini boss that you have to fight. And then, like I said, at the end of, you know, the chapter 3 for each of the comic books, there's like an actual boss. And the thing is most of the bosses and the mini bosses, I would just be able to kill like on my first try. And I'm not saying they need to be super hard, but they're really, really easy. And they do start getting a little harder as you progress, but not by much. And I mean, they look cool, like they look really, you know, the art on them is really cool, but a lot of them just kind of play very similar. You just avoid, you know, the bullet hell thing that you figure out after 2 attacks, and you just keep shooting at them while dodging whatever they're doing to you continuously without stopping. And I mean, they're not like the worst, and some of them are pretty cool, and the mini bosses are actually a little bit more unique than the bosses themselves, but you know, they do get better as you progress in the game. I don't know, they fall a little bit flat for me, at least in like the design of the bosses. But overall, Fury Unleashed is really, really cool. It is, you know, just from the awesome comic book art style to the really intriguing story to the highly satisfying, you know, gameplay and the really cool progression. I would definitely recommend this game if, you know, you're a fan of roguelites or just, you know, combo meter, high fast, you know, action paced, you know, type of things, or comic book stuff. This is a really interesting and fun game to play, and I would definitely recommend it. But if you have played this game, or just, you know, from watching me, let me know in the comments down below what you guys' opinions on it are. I love, you know, talking with you guys, you know, try to, you know, respond to as many people as I can. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of this game. And if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. We make about 1 to 2 video reviews a week, just on a wide variety of games. And obviously, if you have any suggestions for games that are coming out, definitely let me know in the comments down below as well. And if you are having a great day today, I hope you continue having a great day. If you guys aren't having a great day, I hope you guys start having a great day. But either way, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. See you guys next time.